Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano Style here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this Black Country New Road record, Ants from Up There. This is a new LP from UK rock outfit Black Country New Road, quickly following up their beloved debut from last year For the First Time, which was met with a very warm reception, far surpassing the high expectations that fans had of it based on early singles like Sunglasses and Science Fair. For the First Time may have not been a perfect record, but it was so good overnight, Black Country New Road pretty much went from a band to watch to one of the best and most exciting the underground had to offer currently, with inventive and refreshing combinations of post-punk, art, experimental, and post-rock, not to mention some of the klezmer bits on this record too, which were amazing. The band also featured the one-of-a-kind vocals and lyricism of Isaac Wood, whose writing and performances were so intensely anxious and detailed that undoubtedly if you came across Black Country's music over the last year or so, he made an impression on you, good or bad. Now, tragically, Isaac announced his departure from the band just days before this album was set to be released. It seems to have been an amicable split, with the band saying they plan to continue creatively past this point. Yes, it's an unfortunate change, but at least for now we have this recording, this new recording for Black Country New Road, still in one piece. And at the very least on this record, they answer the question of whether or not For the First Time was merely a fluke, beginner's luck. Because once again on this album, I'd say the band surpassed expectations hard. Last year I did an interview with band members Lewis Evans and Tyler Hyde, and one thing I did glean from it was that they were really excited about the directions that the new music was taking on this record, and having heard it now, I can see why. This thing rests a lot harder on the wide array of instrumentation that the band has access to outside of the bass line of guitars and drums. Horns, pianos, synth, and violin play a much larger role on this project, and not only is this project more versatile instrumentally, but it pulls from a larger pool of influences, I think, too. No longer can haters dismiss Black Country New Road simply as a Slint ripoff, as dumb as that point was to begin with. This new LP sports touches of minimalism and prog, jazz, mixed with the raw emotional chaos of early Bright Eyes, as well as the rock elegance of groups such as Talk Talk, plus the grandiose indie anthemics of Wolf Parade and Arcade Fire. But just like with For the First Time, this record isn't so much about its influences as much as how creatively and uniquely they're brought together, with dynamic performances and passionate writing from end to end. Pretty much every teaser to this record, to one degree or another, was fire, and the band dropped so many tracks they left very little up to the imagination when the entire thing dropped. But still, this whole record comes together fantastically. The intro on this thing is a tight, short instrumental piece in 5, with bright horns and a loud, chaotic finish. The track contains a harsh beauty that sets up the theatrical chamber rock of Chaos Space Marine perfectly. This song is maybe the closest we're going to get to an indie rock opera this year. The tense beds of pianos and string and guitar are wonderful and really make the vivid imagery in Isaac's lyrics come to life, especially during the jubilant chorus. So I'm leaving this body and I'm never coming home again. I'll bury the axe here between the window and the kingdom of men. Jesus. The track is so thrilling, so edge of your seat, so eargasmic, even without it following a traditional song structure, as instrumentally it just kind of keeps building up tension from here. This track and many others on the LP show the band has such a firm grasp of tension and release. The song Concorde after this sees the band tumbling further into forlorn, poetic balladry, packed with dynamic swells of horns and piano. The lyrics here are made up of all of these moving and strange metaphors dealing in longing, loss, and departure in life and in love. I'm just so consistently impressed with Isaac's writing. I feel like the beauty of his words speaks for itself. I came a gentle hill racer, I was breathless upon every mountain just to look for your light, but for less than a moment we'd share the same sky, and then Isaac will suffer, Concorde will fly. It's a bittersweet moment on the record that leads into the incredibly despondent Bread song, whose instrumental swells like a gigantic orchestral lullaby. Many of the lyrics on this track seem to describe this unraveling social situation that concludes in this immense moment of rejection. Oh, don't eat your toast in my bed, oh darling, I never felt the crumbs until you said, this place is not for any man, nor particles of bread. Which is, I think, a pretty soul-crushing comparison to be made, even if it is a little inadvertent. The following Goodwill Hunting is one of those Black Country New Road songs that I know some of the lyrics from it are going to be stuck in my head, repeating in my head for the next year, because that was very much the case for multiple songs and lyrical highlights from the last record. She had Billie Eilish style, moving to Berlin for a little while, trying to find something to hold on to. The story of the song has this odd mix of awkwardness and hope that I get off of a lot of great and very genuine Talking Head songs. But obviously Black Country comes to much different instrumental conclusions. The story that Isaac is telling here is so idyllic and storybook in a way, but his wording here makes it clear that what he's saying is something he's merely musing about, fantasizing about, and there's a sadness to that. Especially as he launches into this diatribe about how he'd bend over backwards to keep himself in the mind of this other person who he's singing about, traveling through space to get home to them. Another stellar instrumental performance on the track too. Even though this song features a more standard song structure, the varying beds of instrumentation keep every section of it feeling fresh and new. There's more instrumental magic to follow too on the song HALDERN. I love the repeating minimal horn and piano lines that the song here floats on top of, which contrasts nicely with the heavy, crunchy guitar riffs in between. Next, Mark's theme is a touching and beautiful little sax and piano piece that effectively works as a palate cleanser before we're hit with the biggest tracks on the entire record in the last leg. Now, the three cuts this record closes out with pretty much make up half the entire album. The place where he inserted the blade, which sounds like Spencer Krug and Conor Oberst in their prime, collaborating on the most grandiose and depressing song they could possibly conceive, finishing off as well with these huge group ba-da-da vocals. This track in a lot of ways feels like an extension of the cutting and depressive balladry that much of the record has been made up of so far, but everything about it is pushed to the brink, instrumentally and emotionally. Meanwhile, the song Snow Globes, a 9-minute monster, kicks off with these very patient, plucked, downstroked guitar lines with some subtle bass underscoring it. Sounds kind of like a classic post-rock song from the 90s. Lift your black country like antennas to new road. So even if these guitars are instantly recognizable in a somewhat derivative way, very quickly we start getting these intense flurries of free jazz drumming coloring the whole thing. Actually, coloring might be the wrong word. Smothering, because the drums are so damn loud and mixed so aggressively, which, even though there are elements of the song I do love, might make for my least favorite part of this entire record. I feel like I'm experiencing the final crescendo of this track from inside one of the toms. I do have to give it to the band though, because the gradual progression and performance of the entire track is still great. Then Basketball Shoes is the multi-phase 12-minute grand finale for the entire record, with the sad, twangy, Midwest emo guitar lines coloring the intro, the passionate sax lines that build on top of it, lyrical themes of decimation and Concorde return. The song somehow becomes even more emo-influenced during a riff switch-up at the midpoint, really everything, like from the drums, the guitars, the lyrics. But Isaac's vocals and the extra layers of instrumentation keep this track feeling like it's firmly in line with everything else on the record, consistent. The distorted crescendo is eargasmic, the heavy sax rock outro is amazing, the group vocals come back once more. One of the best lyrical highlights hits at the very end of the record too. Your generous loan to me, your crippling interest. Every single song has like some heart-wrenching, soul-destroying, burning, just like, it hurts. But yeah, wow, like, just what a great record, man. What a great, impressive, well-performed, written, and produced record from, frankly, a one-of-a-kind band. Very sad that, things kind of panned out in the way that they did with the departure of Isaac, but once more, at least we were able to, as the audience, share this moment with the band, hear this music, hear them at some kind of creative peak. Hopefully this unforeseen change doesn't really kneecap the potential of the group going forward, because this record is just stellar, and if we were to lose, Black Country New Road after this moment, that would be quite the tragedy, especially, again, considering how great this is. I mean, I pretty much loved every single song on this thing to some degree. There were some spots that ran a little lengthy or derivative. There's that, mixing issue on Snow Globes I wasn't too nuts about, but still, I mean, I thought this thing was just great. Feeling a decent 2 strong 9 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Black Country New Road, forever.